As an experienced content marketing strategist and program manager, Jodi Harris has worked with professionals across a wide range of industries. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage to find out how to find audiences that you already have.
So millions of people come through your theaters and performance spaces every year. And you probably have a lot of them in your databases, and they receive your newsletters, and you're creating content and marketing to them. But wouldn't it be great to really understand enough about them and their lives and the things that they're interested in to know which ones are going to love your new film on, the Amazon, or know which ones are really into nature documentaries or horror films, so that your most passionate visitors aren't going to miss out on your great special interest programming, and so that you're not spending your time and wasting your budget mismarketing and mistargeting these people. So how are you going to discover a little bit more about your audiences and know, which people to target for which programs, considering how much competition already exists for your audience's attention? Even your registered subscribers, and most passionate patrons might overlook your announcements when they get them in their emails. And if you're not connecting with them at the right time and the right place, then they're not going to know what programming, and you're going to miss out on bringing them into your venues. So today I'm going to talk about a couple of techniques for characterizing new consumer segments to target, including the ultra niche audiences that may already exist in your own subscriber networks. So the way we're going to do this is through a process of building a persona. So a persona is a visualization technique in which you craft a rich, detailed composite sketch of a distinct audience segment based on their validated commonalities. By creating a clear picture and defining and differentiating their characteristics of the audience segments, your marketing team can make more informed decisions on how to engage these customers in the specific programming you offer. They also help you understand what makes your audience unique, what defines and differentiates them, or one person, from all the other people who are coming through your doors every year. The process to build a persona can take a little time, and it involves a little bit of work on your part. But once you find these things, it's going to make your marketing a lot more targeted and a lot more easy to do. So everything starts with data that you probably already have access to. Demographics, people's names, if they've registered with a credit card, where they live, their gender. Not always easy to assume, but you usually have this information when you're registering them as a member or a subscriber. Household makeup and size, you can tell whether they've ordered, just one ticket or whether they've ordered a classroom full of tickets. From there, you can make some estimated guesses on some geographic information, their approximate age, their schedule. If somebody's coming in on a Tuesday afternoon, they probably have a little bit more of a flexible schedule than someone who's only available on the weekends to come to a screening. And that's also going to give you a little bit of an idea of the likely nature of their interest. Is it personal or something that they're passionate about? Is it something for work? Perhaps they're having a charity event and they've contacted you to organize a screening as part of a fundraiser. But this information isn't really going to tell you what they're like as people. And the whole point of a persona is to really understand what motivates them to want to attend your screenings. So you want to find out what makes them unique as an individual. And then you can also make assumptions about how to market to them so that it's going to resonate with each person who receives your messages personally and motivate them to take action by attending a screening, either while they're already at your venue or make a concerted effort to go specifically for the screening. So you're going to need to go a little bit deeper into what motivates them, because the same messages might not resonate equally. So there are 3 techniques that you can use. There are many techniques, but they fall into 3 general categories. Direct interactions, which I'm going to call conversations, observations, which are looking at people who are like your audiences that you want to target, but might not already be in your databases. So you're going to have to make some educated guesses and gather information to help you make more validated assumptions about them. And then data mining and online profiling, which I'm going to call the investigations part. So let's take a quick look at the kinds of techniques. So the first one is conversations or direct interactions, and really there's no better way to find out this information than to talk to your customers directly. You can do that through phone surveys or, just taking some time and having one of your reps in the actual venue to stop people and ask them, what brought them there today and why, they chose a specific screening or why they may or may not be interested in a screening. Another source of information is your team conversations. These are people like ticket sales and phone inquiry operators and your webmasters. They're on the front lines. They're already talking and having conversations with your audience, and they're hearing, what the questions are that your audience has. Another way is to go the online route, so you don't have to actually go out and talk to people one-on-one. There's online surveys and polls where you can use your social media profiles to set up specific polls to ask them about their interests. And the last technique is contests and quizzes. Not only are these great techniques for surveying your audience and finding out what individual people are interested in, information that you can later aggregate with all the other information you can collect, but these are also great ways to get your messages in front of people who might not be already in your audience, who might not know that you exist, or they just came for a fun little quiz that you put online, and all of a sudden they know, hey, there's a giant screen venue in my neighborhood, and maybe I should go see my next film there. So the second group of techniques is observations. And so while it's important to consult your internal resources and directly engage with customers, the data that's gathered through these methods can often be subjective or situational or colored by interviewer bias. People don't always want to admit that they're interested in something, a little bit geeky or, reveals that they're sci-fi nerds or, whatever reason they might not want to admit or, be completely clear when they're talking to you. So observational insights can be gathered by analyzing trends and patterns that are exhibited by those who visit your website, as well as on consumers who are outside of your sphere of influence, the ones who aren't engaging. So observational research is looking at publicly available information sources, such as social media profiles, or reading popular blogs on topics that are related to your screenings, or looking at relevant influencers who often post on social media, who people follow. The second technique is behavioral analysis. A lot of social media profiles like Facebook and Twitter, they have tools that you can use to segment your existing audiences or just look at the aggregate, wider population of people who are using these social media sites to analyze what kinds of behaviors are most popular. Are they interested in nature? Are they interested in lifestyle? Things like fashion. So you can use these tools to find out a little bit more information about the kinds of people who you're looking to target for a specific film. The last technique under observation is competitive analysis. Taking a look at what your competitors' websites are doing, how they're communicating with their customers, how they're, interacting, how they're placing their communications can give you a lot of an idea, because a lot of times these films are screening at more than one venue at a time. So taking a little sneaky peek at what they're doing can give you not just insights on, what they're doing as competitors, but how they're positioning their marketing, who they're targeting, and how those audiences are responding to them online. And the last group of techniques you can use to gather some of your information is data mining and online profiling, which I will call investigation. And these are the fun parts where you really get to kind of dig into your own metrics and analytics that you're collecting on your websites and throughout your organization to really find out what the people who are interacting with you online but may not be making themselves known to you and their interests known to you, what they're thinking and how they're, what their interests are. Obviously, keyword research, you can use tools like Moz is what I used to build this little snapshot. They can tell you what keywords people are searching on for topics that are relevant to your screenings. You also have your website analytics, and Google Analytics can tell you a lot of information about who's visiting your website and the paths that they're taking through your website, how they're navigating, what they're looking for, and whether or not they're finding it. And this information can help give you some deeper insights into what their behaviors are and what their interests are. And lastly, there's sentiment analysis. And the data listening tools are getting really good now at contextualizing the chatter that you'll find on Yelp reviews and TripAdvisor reviews to really understand not only what people are saying about your venues and your screenings and what's making them want to go, how they found out about it, but this information can also help you determine what other groups you need to be targeting when you're building your personas. So once you've done all of this research, you're going to compile all that data, and that's how you're going to build your personas. Now, it's a time-consuming process, but it's worth it. And once you have all this information, not everything's going to be relevant to what you need to do for a particular screening or what you're marketing for a particular screening. So through this process, you're also going to prioritize the information that's most relevant to the person that you're looking to build a persona on. And then some of the information will come in handy, some of it won't. So the next part of this process is going to help you determine what those information pieces that are going to be most valuable are. Now for this exercise, I decided that I saw that the film It is screening at a lot of venues right now, a lot of the IMAX theaters. So I decided to make a little character of Beverly, who is a horror fan. And I'll walk you through how we find information about Beverly to target her and let her know that, hey, It is screening next week and she's really going to want to make that, and she might even want to dress up in a clown costume for that. So you're going to start by envisioning your ideal customer. And you're going to start with the easiest, lowest hanging fruit of your information, your demographics, the stuff that's really easy to get from your member sign-up forms and people who've paid with a credit card online and filled out ticket sales info. So these are things like how old she is, how many people in her household that she's buying tickets for, or in her organization, if she's getting tickets for an entire classroom or an entire nonprofit organization that she's holding a fundraiser for. Is she married or divorced or single? This might come into play if she's buying tickets just for herself, or whether she needs to think about her husband, her kids, and plan around their schedules and their interests as well. You're also going to want to take into consideration geographic data. Does she live close by, and can she just pop in for a screening? Or is this going to be something that it really has to be a passion of hers to bring her out of her comfort zone and away from her everyday routine? Or how far often does she travel into the city if she's out in a suburb and not necessarily right near your venue? Then you're going to want to add some of the observational and investigational details that you found about her known psychographic characteristics. These are, things, what does she value? The topics that she's passionate about. Is she a horror fan? Does she love clowns? Does she go to Burning Man and is interested in nature conservation topics? What online groups and offline groups does she associate with? Does she have a parent group that she takes part in? Maybe she canvasses for political causes or social causes. Is there any cultural details that might help you determine what's important to her and what's going to motivate her to go to a screening? And these details are also going to give you some clues as to the keywords you're going to use to target her in your online marketing later on. So there's also known behavioral characteristics that you can find through your research process. These are things like, what exhibits did she attend when she previously visited, if she previously visited? Did she subscribe, or just does she come in and buy tickets each time she comes in separately, or does she want to become a member? What other venues does she frequent? Does she go to concerts or other comedy shows? What social activities does she do in her spare time? And what brands and organizations she follows, because this is also going to give you some details into how she identifies herself and what qualities and characteristics she wants to be identified with, and the brands that she chooses to engage with online are going to help reflect that information. Next, you're going to want to characterize her decision-making process. These are details on how she comes to decide whether or not she's going to go to a screening, even if she's already in the venue. Is her interest right now active, or is she doing advanced research for a vacation she has coming up in your city and wants to, do everything she can while she's there? Any decision dependencies. Does her husband want to go with her to these things? So it's going to be dependent on his schedule as well as hers. How does she go about finding these entertainment ideas? Does she go online? Does she rely on friends and family to tell her, or the newspapers to tell her when interesting new screenings are coming into town? What might keep her from going to your institution? These are the barriers and frustrations. These are things, anything from she doesn't have a car, so she's reliant on mass transit, to budgetary concerns. She's really on a tight budget and can only really do things that she knows she's going to love. And also, who are her trusted influencers and resources that she uses to find this out? Does Kim Kardashian tweet about venues at museums? Probably not, but maybe she follows Chris Hardwick, or a more geek-oriented person who's going to tell her, hey, we have something on the Amazon rainforest and you're going to love seeing this because it's all naturey and stuff. You're going to also want to include information in your personas about their known communication habits and preferences. These are things like, what devices do they use? Do they prefer to do their research on a mobile device, or only while they're at work at lunchtime, or only while they're at work when they should be working? What social media profiles do they use? What topics and content formats do they prefer to engage with? Are they blog people where they might read a blog that you have, or are they looking for trailers and videos and things like that? And what purchase triggers and habits are going to motivate them? If you offer a discount, are they more or less likely to be interested in taking advantage of your screenings? Once you have all this information, then you're going to use it to document it in your persona. And this is where you're going to start to narrow down all the information that you gathered to really focus in on who she is, the one person that you're targeting at this particular moment, and what her interests and affinities are. So the first thing you want to do when you're building any persona is you want to humanize her, so that your marketing team can understand that she's an actual person and view her as a person who has real life concerns and real life day-to-day struggles and challenges and motivations. And so you're also going to want to give a photo, put a photo in there, just kind of a representative, so that you can really look at her as, oh, that's Beverly. I know how Beverly wants to receive marketing communications. And you're going to want to find a format that fits the information you have, or you can customize it and put the priority information in as you determine who she is and what she's going to be most interested in. This one I got from a free online source called Extensio that has all sorts of different templates that you can build to your specifications, or just take theirs and tweak it as you need to. And so you'll see that I've segmented all of the details and filled them in a little bit for this Beverly person who's very obviously into cosplay and clown things and horror movies. And so I've included all of the details on her that might be relevant. So how do you determine what's going to be relevant to her and what's not going to be relevant to her? One of the great ways that I use is with an engagement scenario or a story summary. And I just put a couple of paragraphs together of who she is and really a day in the life story of her. So she's a young artist and performer who's passionate about the horror genre. She goes to, horror conventions each year, Comic-Con. And while her husband enjoys these events and often attends with her, their busy schedules don't always line up, so she prefers to book activities that allow for a flexible schedule. As a performer, her income is often unpredictable and she operates on a tight budget. You want to build a little bit of a story that's going to tell you, just a sample of her day and what her everyday struggles and triumphs are, so that when you're building your marketing, you can really picture her in your mind as oh, this is something that she's going to love, and how do I craft my marketing to really hit on those topics that are going to catch her attention and really drive her to attend. From there, you're going to just prioritize and categorize all the details that you found. For Beverly, she's married, but she doesn't have children. So if you've gathered information on, maybe she liked a children's charity on Facebook, that's probably not going to be important when you're marketing to her, because these are not considerations that she's going to factor in when she's deciding whether or not to attend your venue. So you'll start with the basics, the demographics, and the geographic details, and then add in the relevant psychographic details and behavioral details. From there, you're going to want to put in the details that you've gathered on her frustrations and barriers, things that she's deciding, her decision-making factors, her communication and engagement preferences. So, Beverly likes to do everything online on her mobile phone, so that's how you're going to want to target her. You're going to want to send her videos and quick emails and notifications that she can do on the fly while she's flipping through and scanning through everything else, and that's going to help you determine how your marketing is going to resonate with her better. Known brand affinities, and also the relevant keywords that are most used through your research to target her and what her interests are. After everything is documented, the kind of last steps you want to do is you want to keep them handy. I kind of pin them to my desk, and so that every time I'm writing a piece of marketing communication, I can kind of look up at her and think about her and who she is and keep her in mind when I'm creating my content. You're also going to want to share them with all of your marketing team members, because you want everybody else to really understand what's motivating her and who she is, and you want everybody to be working off the same page so that it makes your marketing process a lot smoother. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to update them periodically. Your marketing goals are going to shift, your screening topics and shows are going to shift, so every time you have a persona, I would say, on a yearly basis, you want to kind of take a look and see, has anything changed? Maybe this person is probably 5 years older now and maybe has kids, so you need to kind of redevelop the persona around her new priorities. Or maybe you're no longer having horror screenings, but she's also interested in science and nature, so you're going to want to tweak things, make sure that they're always fresh and relevant. And that is all.